Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to a very different time for the latest betting weekly game bet match tennis podcast with myself, Nigel Seeley, in London, back home after an eventful trip yesterday. And I'm a bit sad to see my old mate Sean Calvert over there. And the sun is shining in Hamburg, which is really disappointing. I thought I got the best of the weather, but it doesn't seem to be that way. So we are on a different time here on a Friday evening talking about the tennis. We're going to talk about two matches a little bit later on in Atlanta, and we're going to have one match tomorrow, the semifinals in Hamburg. So before we go into the matches, Sean, you're missing me, mate. How's it been? How's it been on that reefer party? You got to be careful down there, mate. Make sure you're all right. You're okay.
I've not really ventured out there without you as my protector. To be honest, I don't trust some of these characters that are lurking.
There's not many people with protection on that reeper party, I must admit. To be fair, Sean,
it loses its cachet after a day or two. It's all right if you're going out and having a few beers and having a laugh and stuff, but kind of day to day, I'm basically living here for 3 days. It's not a very long period of time, but it's a bit seedy when you're sort of walking out for your coffee at like 10 o'clock in the morning. There's all sorts going on out there.
It's still going on at 10 in the morning. Is it still all the action going on at 10?
I wouldn't say action, but there's characters lurking about all hours. It's all right. It's not a problem. Tonight, actually, it's a bit different tonight because there's a couple of reasons. The sun's out, which you can probably tell behind me, which is the first time I've seen any sun since I left the UK. And the second thing is that Hamburg are playing at home for their first match of the season against Schalke. And there's a ton of football fans out there. There's loads of Schalke fans, loads of Hamburg fans, mainly Schalke fans actually down here because it's a day out for them, isn't it? It's a day out on the Reaper Barn, getting drunk and then going to the football. So it's a bit lively down there at the minute. I'm gonna step down there later on. I've got a dinner reservation somewhere a bit quieter tonight. So yeah, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean that's a massive game. That's a big game. Two big sides, big supporting. It must be the away trip you want to have. It's like the Brighton or the Blackpool away
or something.
Yeah. Just get down to the Reaper Barn for Hamburg.
Well, they're all doing it. They've been doing it since I came back from the tennis earlier. They were all on the trains and stuff. The Schalke fans all got off at the Reaper Barn. They're all enjoying themselves before the first match of the. I didn't realize actually Hamburg were in the second tier of German football and Schalke as well. So yeah, big match, should be good.
Famous, obviously, Kevin Keegan went to Hamburg, didn't he? Many years ago. Back in the day, Hamburg. But we're talking about. Let's have a little catch up with you. So yesterday we went to the tennis today. Some good matches today. You watched it. You watched the games. You give us a little bit of a lean for Laszlo Djere. Obviously, you said that his head-to-head record against Musetti, the defending champion, was strong. If anyone followed Sean on our Instagram page at Because We Win and also on our Twitter handle, you would have seen that Sean said to you that Musetti might struggle today, and he did. He got beaten. Musetti's defending champion. He's out, so Laszlo Djere's through, and it's throwing up a little bit of an unlikely semi-final, which we'll come on to in a minute. But what you thought what do you think of the tournament? What do you think of the arena compared to other tournaments, and what do you think of the tennis action that you've seen so far?
Well, I'm annoyed at Laszlo Djere. That's the first thing to get off my chest. You know, for anyone that didn't watch the show last week, I tipped Djere to win in Gstaad last week. He lost in an absolute shocker in the first round to Zizou Bergs. Now he's favourite to make the final at a bigger tournament, at a much, much bigger price a week later in Hamburg. So that's annoyed me.
But there's also one way of thinking about it. It annoys you. Yeah, okay, and there's a lot of things that do annoy you, Sean. And being you get annoyed by a lot of things.
I think this would annoy anybody, though, wouldn't it? That's not just me.
But also, I think you're doing the right thing. The fact that you've bet someone who's had a bad day and comes on to win it shows you that the original bet you had was a good bet, regardless whether you got beat or not. It's frustrating, but it shows you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it does. It's just annoying because this happens quite a lot over the years.
But you're doing the right thing.
I am doing the right thing, but it's still annoying. Even if it's vindication of my original play, it's still annoying. It always will be. I'm never going to get over this. It happens all the time. The guy loses in the first round, wins the next week. It must have happened to you a few times. But
I don't bother about it. I just know I'm doing the right thing. It doesn't bother me.
Annoys me.
Yeah, I know. Things do annoy you. Anyway,
I'll tell you what else annoyed me while we're on the subject.
Any problems on the use?
No. The problem I had today was the fact that they put Musetti Djere on that M1 court that every single person was trying again. Did you see that video I posted where I had to watch
it? Well, I see it peering through like a sort of
That's the only way I could watch it. The only way I could watch it. And it wasn't just me. There was about 20 other people standing looking over the side from the other court because it's the only way you could watch it because it was packed. I realize it's a joint tournament and they have to have some WTA matches on the centre court. But I didn't really get the scheduling. So I understand that the German girl obviously put her on. Yeah, I get that. Didn't really get putting Arantxa Rus on first on centre court and putting Musetti, the defending champion, on the court, which only holds about 200 people.
It's not a nice court, is it? There's benches. You sit there, you get a real sore bum.
Well, on the one side, it's concrete, isn't it? It's got the old sort of football style terracing where if you sit on that, that's painful. But people were sneaking in around that side. They found a gap in the fence and they were sneaking in. They shut it off eventually. The security guy stopped people from going in there eventually. But other than that, I think it's quite a nice little tournament, actually. Quite small, isn't it? It's smaller than you think. Some of these 500s, Barcelona's really small. But Barcelona's really packed. This was all right. I quite like it's quite a nice little centre court, isn't it? I tell you what I do like, if we're going on to things that I do like.
Really? This won't take long.
Yeah, it won't take long. But the seats on the centre court, aren't they? They're nice, aren't they?
Yeah, and I had the posh ones at the front. I was in row 2. You see the row 1 and row 2. I actually had the Premier seats. They were even posher. They were like Sean, it's about 10 euro more than what you got the other one is. I just press the button on the website that says best available seat. I don't search. And at my age now, I have to have an aisle seat to get out.
That's what I was going to say. You know what I do? I it's not for the go in the toilet. It's the fact that I can get in and out quickly because I like to go from one court to the next. If something's happening on another court, I like to be out of there lively. But yeah, really, really wide, kind of luxurious. It's not like Queen's Club, is it? Where you're packed in like about 3 millimeters from the person next to you. So that was good.
Very nice.
I think it's decently run tournament. It's a nice little tournament.
I've learned a few things on the travel. I like this. I like the aisle seats. Definitely, that's a big plus of tennis. Get in and out, like you say. For me, my age. I obviously consume a few more pilsners than you do on a daily basis, so I need to get out to the toilet. That's something I need to do. And the second thing that I've always realised now travelling to get the second seat. It's a great tip for anybody who wants to travel abroad. Get the second seat behind the extra legroom because nobody reads the small print of the extra legroom. This is a value bet. This is a big value for you, Sean. You should be all over this. So you get the second row. Because families come in the first row and nobody under the age of 18 can sit in that first row. And the amount of times I've sat there in row 2 and the stewardess has said, "I'm sorry, sir, you can't." He said, "What do you mean? You'll have to ask the people behind if they can move." And you go, "Oh, well, okay, mate, yeah, right." And you move. Anyone under the age of 18 cannot sit in that front row, and it happens all the time. 2 travel tips here. Anyway, enough about travel tips.
This is invaluable viewing. This
is catching up. We haven't got
tips, travel tips.
It's travel tips. It's underground tips. It's Reeperbahn tips. It's German Bundesliga 2 tips. It's every tip. Under the goals tonight, Bundesliga 2 tips. That's a little tip for you there.
Yeah, over the beers, that's for sure.
Yeah, over the beers, yes, 100%. Let's move on to tomorrow's action. As we said, the man we spoke about, the man who's annoyed you, player that's annoyed you, Laszlo Djere, up against a surprise package in the tournament so far, Xinjiang Zhang. Djere obviously is a much more proven clay quarter, and once the lines have gone up, no surprise, the money has come for Laszlo Djere. He's minus 167 here against Zhang. Djere's route here has been pretty impressive. He's beat Echeverry, he's beat Peller, he's beat Musetti. Zhang has also been pretty good as well, obviously with the Brit Choinsky Hanferman, which was a big win for him on centre court against a German, and another German today, Altmaier. So I can imagine Yang not being very popular with the Germans, and Djere obviously fancy his chances here to go deep. Minus 167 is the price, plus 138 for the outsider Zhang here. Give us your thoughts on this match, and I'll look at some props as you are you giving us your breakdown on what you think.
Yeah, statistically, there's not much between these two. I looked at the stats of all the players in this half of the draw before I left this morning, just in case, to see which one's going to be make it through. In this case, it was Djere and Zhang's stats. I also checked as well. They're not great stats, either of them. Service points won, return points won, total of around about 100 at main level on clay this season, both of them. There's nothing really to choose between the two on stats. I've never met before. Djere didn't really annoy me today in the sense that I backed him on the handicap, as I said on the video this morning. Talked about all the matches, didn't I? I thought it was a tricky matchup for Musetti. He doesn't like it at all. Djere makes far too many balls for him and just waits for that sort of backhand to break down normally with Musetti, and then he gets frustrated and It went downhill from there. Musetti smashed his racket after losing the first set. Never really was in it after that. Doesn't like facing Jerry. I think this will be a nervy one for these two, both in a semi-final of an ATP 500. This is a big tournament for both of them. I mean, Jerry's won a 500 before back in the day in Rio, quite a few years ago. But this is pretty new territory-ish for Zhang. He's slightly annoyed me a bit, Zhang. He keeps saying things like, my favorite surface is grass and hard courts. And yet all his best results have come on clay lately, which is, I don't think he really understands either. But I watched him all his match today against Altmaier, and he didn't really give Altmaier a chance. He was hitting with great depth. It's tactically, he got it spot on. He was serving and volleying the kick serve out to the Altmaier backhand, knowing he was going to get a floaty response. He could just put it away with a volley or an overhead. He was impressive. He really was impressive. Whether he can produce that in a semi-final remains to be seen. But I certainly wouldn't back Jerry at odds on. On the stats, as I say, there's nothing between them. So if you're just going on that, then you would probably suggest that there's a little bit of value on Zhang.
Yeah, Zhang here is plus 138. Obviously, I think the line is obviously been given this kind of price because of Jerry's better clay court form over the years, but Zhang obviously has really produced some very good performances. You put a little post on the Instagram account. Check the Instagram account where I think Zhang hit Altmaier with a shot in the nether regions.
The other way around.
He
was serving for the match, Zhang. I think he was 30 love up at the time. Came to the net, which he did quite often, and Altmaier nailed him with one right in the nether regions. He went down, and it did look painful. And Altmaier came over the other side of the net, which you're not really supposed to do, and sort of checked it. He was all right and stuff. It did look like he got an unfortunate one. It really did. But he got back up eventually, dusted himself down, and served out the last couple of points for the match. But yeah, nasty that looked.
Let's hope he recovers all right tonight, and he needs a good rest, not head down to the reaper barn with you, Sean. He'd be all right for tomorrow if he gets in.
Come to the Portuguese quarter with me. It should be quite sedate down there.
That's where I was told to go to the Portuguese quarter. I went there. I think that was near where I stayed. That's right by where I stayed.
It's by the river, isn't it? Well, the river.
Yeah,
St.
George area.
I don't know what it's called. I just wandered down there earlier on.
That's near where I stayed, and I went to a restaurant. Very nice.
Well, that's much more pleasant than where I'm staying.
Yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer. That's just a no-brainer. Don't worry about that. Okay, so there we go. So that's Zhang against Laszlo Jerry. The other semi-final, we're still waiting who it's going to be. We know that one man is in it, Alexander Zverev. I actually bet Alexander Zverev after I saw him on the first day I was there, hitting the ball so hard and man on the mission. We know he's got some personal issues to overcome this week, but I thought he was absolutely exceptional. And surprisingly, he's going to play either Casper Ruud or Artur Fils. And amazingly, Artur Fils is 4-0 up against Casper Ruud and got a point now to go 5-0 up in the first set. So he's now favourite in play with Bet Rivers. So the semi-final could be Zverev against Fils. So on the draw, Zverev looks the man to beat. It's his home tournament, and he looks like a man who I think is 5-0 now. Artur Fils against Casper Ruud. But we saw Casper Ruud lose the first set yesterday, so we'll know that in the morning. There'll be about 38 different betting markets available on the Bet Rivers website. Remember, it'll be an early start because it's a European based over in Hamburg in Germany. We are recording this on Friday, and we're recording this around about 7 o'clock UK time, which is 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time in the States. But a little bit later on tonight, we got two. It's quarterfinals, isn't it? It's called two quarterfinals in Atlanta, and they're quite interesting bets, two interesting matches. The first match we're going to talk about is the man of the moment, Christopher Eubanks, sensational at Wimbledon. We sort of doubted whether he can replicate that form here in Atlanta, but he has. He looks great, in great form. He's up to going to be getting to the top 30 in the world, staggering amount of the man at his age and what he's done in the game. Number 5 seed here. He plays an opponent in Alexander Vukic, is an opponent that he's played a few times before. 6 times they've met. And Vukic leads 4-2. Vukic has actually won their last 3 encounters all this year. Obviously, they played 4 times already this year. And Eubanks won the first time. They played twice at one tournament, one in qualifying and one in the first round in Delaware Beach. So amazing that they've got a huge amount of recent records. And if you look at their recent form, there's been a lot of games. That would be the thing to take out from this match. A lot of games here. But Christopher Eubank is 157. I know he's going to be popular with the American bettors. We know that. The spread here is -1.5. Eubanks is -117. Vukic is +1.5, -108. And the total is a very, very high, not surprising, 25.5 with over -106 and under -121. This is 7 p.m. Eastern time in about 5 hours from now. The Eubank bandwagon, can it continue? Can he keep going? Is he should he be -157 against an opponent that's beaten 3 times already this year? Or is there value in Vukic here at +125?
There's certainly an argument to suggest that Vukic has a little bit of value to him at that price. Yeah, if we look at the stats, I do like these meetings where there's a lot of statistics to go on. As you said, they met 6 times. And every opening set of theirs has gone to either 12 or 13 games. The head-to-head stats are very much in favor of Vukic, actually, in terms of service points won, return points won totals. He's 105 to 95 ahead, Vukic. He's held serve 91% of the time against Eubanks. Eubanks actually only held serve against him 83% of the time. So just on those bare stats, you would say, yes, there's value on Vukic, but the other side of the coin is that Eubanks has improved considerably. Even though those meetings are quite recent, they were from earlier this year, you would certainly say that Eubanks is probably playing with a lot more confidence now than he was sort of 3 or 4 months I thought Eubanks was a little bit fortunate to edge it against my 16-1 shot Nakashima in round 2. He saved all 7 of the break points that he faced, did Eubanks, and Nakashima didn't save any of the 2 that he faced. So you could certainly argue a little bit fortunate, or you could argue that Eubanks was better on the big points. I think Nakashima went something like 2 from 21 or something on break points that tournament. So he just couldn't step up to the plate at the big moments, Nakashima, and Eubanks certainly could. But I think in this matchup, it's quite obvious that Eubanks has that struggle to deal with the Vukic. They've both got big games. I mean, if we look at what they've done in Atlanta so far, Eubanks has held serve 100% of the time, Vukic 93% of the time. So given their head-to-head, given the conditions are quick in Atlanta, given the fact that both these guys have held serve pretty much the whole time in their first 2 matches so far, the obvious bet is a set 1 tiebreak, but it's very short, isn't it? It's 2.6, I think it is, with Bet Rivers. That it's highly likely, if you don't mind taking a sort of relatively short price, but I'm not sure it's value. If I was betting in this match, I might be tempted to back Vukic at those prices on the basis of the matchup. The obvious bet is the tiebreak or set 1 tiebreak. I'm not sure it's value, but I think potentially the lean is Vukic there.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Vukic here. I just think Christopher Eubanks has played an awful lot of tennis. I know he's playing the best of his game. His confidence must be sky high, but physically he's never played this amount of tennis that he's doing. He's played a lot of long matches as well, 2 5-setters at Wimbledon, and then obviously another long match against Nakashima. He's got
the way he plays, it does lean himself to that because he doesn't break serve very often. So he does tend to play a lot of long matches. Yeah.
And he gets so emotional about every match. And the emotion as well as the physicality is going to take it a toll. I like him. I think he's great for the game, and I want him to succeed, and I really do. I think he's articulate. I think he's brilliant on the TV, on the tennis channel. I think he's excellent. But I think from a betting perspective, at -157, playing an opponent he's lost 3 times this year in the last 3 matches, then I wouldn't touch that. Okay, so that's the Christopher Eubanks Vukic match. Before we go on to the next quarterfinal in Atlanta, just a little bit update. Artur Fils has won the first set 6-love against Casper Ruud. Hugo Humbert is up against Alex de Minaur. Alex de Minaur has won this tournament twice before. He's -275 to win this match. Humbert is so unpredictable. He can be absolutely brilliant, get that serve going, a big left-handed serve, or he could be abysmal, like myself and Sean watched him against Ryan Pedersen when we bet him to win the tournament, and he was absolutely diabolical. That's one player that I am angry about. I forgive Laszlo Jerry, but Hugo Humbert on that day, I don't forgive him. I'm not a big Hugo Humbert fan. +210 you can get for the Frenchman here. If you look at the head-to-head, Alex de Minaur has won it. They've met 4 times, 3-1 the head-to-head to the Argentinian. The last time they met was on clay in Lyon. De Minaur won that. He also won on clay in Barcelona. But they've, again, played a lot of matches. If you look at the total games, a lot of high makeups, a couple of tie breaks. And the last 3 matches have all cashed on the overs. Minaur likes his tournament, got a good record here. Should be too strong for Humbert, but Humbert we know has got the capabilities to give the Australian problems. What do you like here?
I took the overs here, over 22.5 games. I just think this is short on de Minaur in a match that's not on his racket most of the time. It's mainly about Humbert, this matchup and this particular match. As you said, when it's working for Humbert, he's very flashy, goes for his shots, small margins, high risk game that he's got. When it comes off, it's virtually impossible to deal with for anybody, and that includes de Minaur over the other side of the net. But when it doesn't, he beats himself. You don't really need to do that much if you're Alex de Minaur and Humbert's having a shocking day. He won't really need to do much today if that's the case. But at these odds, I'm happy to take a chance on Humbert having one of his better days. I went against him in the first round against Lestienne plus 1.5 sets. Lestienne should have won that match, incidentally. He served for it. I think it was at 5-3 in the third set. Lestienne managed to conjure defeat from the jaws of victory there. Humbert had the trainer out about 3 times. But he improved markedly, did Humbert in the next match against Lloyd Harris, wasn't it? A big serving encounter that was, and he was better, a lot better. Now that he's attuned to the conditions, Humbert. I've seen most of these matches against de Minaur. As you said, it's 3-1 to the head-to-head to Alex de Minaur. But the service points won and return points won tells. There's not a lot in it. 102 to 98 in favour of de Minaur on all surfaces. On hard courts alone, 101 to 99. So although he's won 3 of the 4, there's not a great deal in it in the stats. And the last time they met on hard courts, which was at the start of 2022, they were joint favourites. Now de Minaur's, what, 1.4, minus 250, shorter than that even.
Minus 275, almost minus $3, almost.
Yeah, that's
3 to 1 on.
That's too short. If Humbert has a good day, he can win this. If he has a decent to good day, to very good day, then he can certainly take a set and really press this one deep. I've taken the over 22.5. I just think it's too short. It's too much of an assumption that Humbert's going to have a bad day. If he has a good day, this is winnable for him in these quick conditions. It's all about Humbert, how he turns up on the day. And at these odds, don't mind taking a chance on him.
This match is scheduled to play around about 8:30 Eastern time this evening. So you will have time to have a bet on this match. And Bet Rivers currently have 36 different prop bets on that, including the spread, which is 3.5. de Minaur giving up 3.5 is minus 109. Humbert plus 3.5 is minus 117. And Sean's bet there, his official pick here, is over 22.5 games. That was at even money. It's now been bet into minus money. It's minus 105. But even at minus 105, that does look a bet when you consider the under is the heavy favourite here at minus 122. I agree with Sean completely there. This could be a long one. This could also be a very, very good week for us, Sean. On our futures, we're getting a little bit excited. We're 13.08 units up on the year so far after a bad win. Wouldn't we all know that. That's yesterday's news. We were sort of getting our way back in profit again, sorry. And we've got 2 guys through to the semi-finals. JJ Wolf through to the semi-finals over in Atlanta, who plays either Taylor Fritz or Nishikori, which is the story of the week. I think Nishikori, what he's doing there. They're just about to start here, so maybe when this lands, you might see some in-play odds. And our pick in Umag, Arnaldi. Now, it was an each-way pick. He's through to the semi-finals, and he will be a very heavy favourite, whoever he plays in the next round. Probably Alexei Popyrin will probably be the most likely opponent. But looking good on some of these futures here.
Yeah, it's always nice to try and bounce back if you've had a bad tournament. I'm just looking at the scores now. Actually, the UMAG scores. I think that one's got a long way to go. The Popyrin match, but as you say, whoever Arnaldi plays in the semi-final, he'll be favourite. So that's always a good position, isn't it? You can hedge depending on what the price are. If you wanted to hedge your position, you could. It's nice to be in that position. Jeff Wolf 25 to 1. He'll have a difficult semi-final. Obviously, whoever he plays. Obviously, if it's Fritz, it'll be all the more difficult. I would actually like Nishikori to win that match and probably be fatigued against Wolf. But I thought the conditions would suit Wolf pretty well, and that's worked out to be the case so far. He's had no problems getting through. Don't think he's dropped a set yet, has he? He's won everything.
He dropped a set today against Lehecka.
I'm talking about Wolf.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Wolf hasn't dropped a set, no.
I don't think he's dropped a set. So yeah, 25 to 1. You're going to get you've got a shot at the final. If you could also do them in a little parlay if you wanted to cover yourself that way. We've not had much luck in the outright. So I had a few unlucky semi-final final losers in the this season. So it'd be great to get one or both of those through to the final. Yeah, for sure.
It will all come good. Don't you worry about that. I've known you a long time, Sean, and the American audience are getting to know you. We'll be fine. Don't you worry.
It's high variance stuff, isn't it? The outrights.
Yeah.
1 minute you got 33-1 win, and next minute you have a couple of first round losers. That's how it is. And
yeah, as long as you keep getting value,
keep getting the value, sooner or later over a period of time, you will be in front.
Yeah, you will be fine. Don't worry. No problem here. If you want to bet at your tennis podcast and you follow your tennis here, you will not go wrong betting this man. If you have any success, if you've had any success on the show, if you've had anything that you've had a nice winner on these futures, share your slips with us. We want to hear that you are betting these things as well. We want to see that you've been cashing tickets. It's the one thing we like to do. We like to cash tickets here. So let's cash some tickets together. So if you are in a position with one of these futures, or you had a big bet, or you didn't have to show the stake, but send us through a little bit of a screenshot, show us what you're doing and cheering it on with us. So hopefully we can all have some fun together. The philosophy is here: we win together. And that's what we want to do. Remember, there are 4 ways to follow us here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. You can download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. You can follow Sean over in Hamburg. He's going to be out tonight. He's been around tomorrow. He's going to be football crazy with the crazy fans in Hamburg against Schalke. So I'm sure that'll be a must follow on our Instagram page, which is at Because We Win. And you can also follow our Twitter page at Because We Win, where Sean gives you a daily update from the arena. Whoever we're traveling the world, giving you content and hopefully giving you winners as well. And Sean will give you an update tomorrow on the conditions over in Hamburg. And the final way you can follow us is by subscribing to our brand new standalone YouTube channel, the Betting Weekly Studios at Because We Win. Please give us a follow on there, subscribe, give us a rate and review. It's really, really important to get those numbers up. And we have some great content coming up. The soccer season starts all across Europe. It's starting in Germany tonight in the 2nd division. Next week, there's going to be soccer action galore on that standalone YouTube channel. So please give us a follow on there. Before we go, Sean, Hamburg plus 143 with Bet Rivers, Schalke plus 165. The tie is plus 260. The total goals under 3.5 at minus 150. That is your bet. First game of the season, notoriously tight, not many goals. 2 teams that have got big history, big fans. One will lose their opening game of the season. Small play on the draw, pizza money on the draw plus 260, under 3.5 goals minus 159, and the correct score 1-1. Seeley's told you.
Okay, well, it'll probably be on the TV, I imagine, in pretty much every bar around here. So I don't think I'll be able to avoid it. So yeah, maybe I'll have a little investment on that.
And have that. Listen, have a great time, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. When are you heading back?
Tomorrow evening. I'll just have time to watch probably one of the matches. I haven't seen the schedule yet, but I'll probably have time to watch one of the matches.
Well, have a safe journey. Hopefully you don't have the same travel problems as me, sitting on the runway for 3 hours after trying to get in there. And there's a curfew at 12 o'clock in Hamburg Skyline, but there's definitely not a curfew at 12 o'clock on the Reeperbahn where Sean Calvert will be tonight. Sean, keep up the great work. Send us all those videos. We're loving the videos. We're loving the content. We're loving the Instagram stories. We want more content, and we want you to have enjoyable and cash some tickets as well. Good luck for the weekend on your picks in America and Atlanta, and also in Croatia in Umag. And good luck for the next couple of days over in Hamburg as well. Okay, that's been it. It's a bit unusual. Friday night, yesterday we couldn't do the podcast because of the travel commitments and the problems we had, the logistical side. But we'll give you an extra show tonight. We'll be back again on Sunday, breaking down next week's tournaments, which are from Washington, where the temperatures are soaring and it's going to be very, very hot. I spoke to our head honcho at Bet Rivers, who actually lives in Washington. He told me it's absolutely boiling. So
often is there. Last year it was super hot for the tournament there last year.
So we're going to have to see what happens there. Anyway, Sean, thanks for your time, mate. Enjoy yourself. Have a good night tonight. Have a good meal. Stay safe, and we'll speak to you again on Sunday. Good luck for your bets of the weekend, everyone. Take care.